In this video, we are going to talk about two basic types of chemical reactions. Okay, but before we get into those reactions, just a couple of notes about it. First of all, if we think about all of the possible elements that exist, and of those elements, all of the possible combinations of those elements to make various compounds, and then all of the ways that those elements and compounds can react with one another, we can see that there are millions of different chemical reactions that can occur. Okay, what you guys are going to learn to do is to recognize patterns of chemical behavior that allow you to predict the products in many of these reactions. So the end game here is if I give you two reactants, you should be able to decide the type of reaction that's going to occur and then decide what the products of the reaction will be. So the first reaction that you're responsible for knowing is something known as a synthesis or a combination reaction. Okay, the definition of a synthesis or a combination reaction is a reaction where two or more substances are reacting to form a single substance. Okay, so if we think about our reactants and our products, the general equation for a synthesis or combination reaction is going to look like this. Okay, we have A plus B. Okay, A could be an element or a compound. B could be an element or a compound. Either way, they are combining to form one product. Okay, so the reactants in a synthesis or combination reaction can be either two elements or two compounds, but those two substances, whatever they are going to combine, and at the end, our product is always going to be a single compound. Okay, some very common examples of synthesis or combination reactions. We can take H2 and O2 and combine them to produce water, H2O, or we could take sodium and chlorine and combine them to form sodium chloride, okay, which is regular old table salt. So again, if we look at both of these examples, there are different types of reactants, but in the end, our products are always one compound. Okay, so that's the first type of reaction. The exact opposite of a synthesis or a combination is going to be a decomposition reaction. So if we think about what the word decompose means, if something decomposes, it's breaking down. Okay, so by definition, a decomposition reaction is a single compound that is broken down into two or more products. Okay, decomposition is the exact opposite of synthesis. So instead of taking two things and combining it to form one, here we're going to end up with one reactant that's going to break down into two or more products. Okay, so if I flip this arrow here, I end up with a synthesis or a combination reaction. In a decomposition reaction, the reactant is going to be one compound. Okay, and the product then can be any combination of elements and or compounds. So decomposition reactions are easy to identify because they are the only reactant where we will only have one reactant. Okay, binary compounds are going to break down into their constituent elements. Remember, the word binary here means two, so this is just a compound with two elements. An example is H2O. H2O is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, so when it breaks down into H2 and O2. Okay, these two here in front of the or after the hydrogen and the oxygen are there because hydrogen and oxygen are two of those diatomic elements, or elements that must exist in pairs or as molecules. But you can see here we have water, H2O, breaking down into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. Okay, another example of a decomposition reaction, we can look at calcium carbonate, CaCO3, and that can break down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Okay, again, one reactant forming two, in this case, products. So those are the first two reactions that you guys are responsible for knowing, and again, they are the exact opposites of one another.